opponents and outdamage them.
Yeah, that was specifically against a Baron for those of you who didn't catch the game. And we were talking about that during the cast and afterwards. It just seemed to be a really smart pick into that. Maybe Team Solo Mid, if they go for a Baron, that could be a really solid choice. But I don't feel like Team Solo Mid is a Baron team.
I would like to see teams get away from the fact that they're not willing to play a pick like a Scarf. I feel like Scarf is going to be one of those sleeper picks that can make a big impact, very much like it did at Worlds. Like, nobody said Scarf when we talked to teams before Worlds. Not a single team said, oh yeah, we feel like Scarf is pretty strong. And then once Team Solo Mid was being so dominant, it was a Scarf that kind of brought them back down to earth a little bit.
All right, we're into the draft for game number 2. Team Solo Mid need one more win to win 2 weeks in a row. And GankStars is saying, you're not getting the Koshka.
Koshka's going
I just don't think so.
Koshka's going to remain undefeated for at least one more game.
Question is, what do TSM let go through?
I think you ban something not Adagio Lyra.
See,
right?
if Adagio got through and GankStars could pick that up with the... Well, that's tough because then Lyra goes over to the other side and that shuts down the alpha a little bit.
Ah, okay.
A little bit, but not fully. If they could get like an Adagio Fortress weapon alpha, I think that would be pretty ideal for
I would
them.
assume that they might go for the Lyra here, just because, again, wrecked with Lyra.
That's true.
But best Chuck NA.
That's such a problem when you have
Adagio.
a player that's good at Adagio and good at Lyra. They need to get rid of one of those guys.
I think you probably pick Adagio because you're more worried about how strong Team Solo Mid is than how good you will be with Lyra. That's my take. But maybe I'm just being scared for their sake.
It's fair enough. That's okay. Lyra gets through. She's going to get picked up. Lance the ban out by TSM.
So now the big decision for GankStars. What is their second ban going to be? What are you going to allow Team Solo Mid to play?
I feel like maybe you ban Fortress.
They want Fortress as well.
But Fortress with Lyra into Adagio I think is really good.
Yeah, it's good. Yep, they're going to ban out the Flicker, though. Very interesting.
I'm not sure if Team Solo Mid picks up the Fortress here, though. Because they already have the Lyra, I don't feel like Von C is really going to play a whole lot of Fortress. And while they can put Best Chuck on the Lyra, it's something he has done multiple times, I don't know if Flash X is going to want to run a Fortress with a Lyra and not really have a whole lot of peel or disables on the team.
Or weapon power Lyra.
You were given bacon.
He didn't take the bait at all. That was ridiculous. I wish you guys could have seen behind the scenes.
Because I would much rather see the weapon power Arden on GankStars with an Adagio.
Oh,
Like, it works so well with Adagio.
I feel like I'm in a time warp.
Hey, you're the one that brought it up.
You're in
I
a
wasn't
loop.
going to say it.
You're in a time loop. Jewel!
Oh,
with the Lyra.
GG.
Okay.
The long con. Make them forget about it and bring it back with a
I'm
vengeance.
done.
It's the way it is with the weapon Lyra, I'm telling you.
Dude, pull the trigger right now. Fortress Alpha, do it.
I feel like the Alpha, sorry, the Fortress for sure makes a lot of sense. And I guess you could go Alpha with my concern.
Alpha is
is
so
that-
good into Jewel.
Is Adagio going to be able to back you guys up properly? Like, Fortress and Alpha can dive so far off screen by the time Adagio even gets close.
Yeah, but that's the thing. They have to make the decision. I mean, you can't go into any fight just blind. Like, oh, here's my target. Going for it hard now. Yeah, you have to keep track of your team, especially if it's a large part of it like Adagio. So, yeah, you engage onto a target. If that target boots away in the other direction, you collapse back onto where the strength of your team is.
All right, well, bonus time being dipped into here by GankStars. They've got 2 picks available to them. They need to deal with the Jewel and Lyra combination. We've seen this specific combo be used well, but we've also seen Jewel have a really high win rate, too. I mean, it's over less games, but she's one of the winningness as well.
Yeah, absolutely. The weapon power Jewel in particular, if you take away the 1 or 2 games that was played on Crystal Jewel, then that win rate becomes even higher. So it's definitely an impactful pick, typically being seen played in the lane. So I'm curious to see if it is going to go on to Best Chuck or if they give this to Von C.
You know what? It totally doesn't feel like a Best Chuck hero, though, doesn't it?
That's
like
what I was thinking, but it also doesn't feel like a pick that is great coming out of the jungle.
Best Chuck's a god. He can do whatever he wants.
I'm pretty sure he can, but he's like And he's a god on another level with certain types of heroes, right? All right, GankStars, I mean, you got 4 seconds right now. It's going to be Finn. Now they got 30 more to work with. With the Finn, okay, hey, well, what does that change here? The Dodgy's probably going lane.
Do it. Say
Look
it.
at the comp. Look at the comp. You know what it is.
I'm looking and I'm thinking Arden into Lyra is a bad idea. I'm looking.
This is the comp.
They're just trolling you. Like, they don't even care if they win. They
are.
just want you to think it's weapon art. No, I'm just they're not. They, of course, they care if
There's
you win.
no way.
They've only got a couple seconds
There's
left.
no way you pick it into Lyra.
They're out of time.
There's no way they pick anything if they do that.
1.5. Half?
One.
Second.
Okay, well, hopefully we'll get an update from the admins about what is going on in the background. Let's speculate realistic options for what the third pick is likely to have been.
Can't get out drafted if you don't finish the draft.
Oh!
I think they tried to lock in the weapon Arden, and the draft client was like, that's just too powerful of a comp.
Yeah.
I can't let it happen.
Doesn't make sense. Overload. System failure.
I feel like they probably picked something like Samuel.
No.
No.
I don't think so.
I don't know. Like, Samuel doesn't have to fight in the Bright Bulwark, so you're
With
not
an Adagio?
worrying. Just purely because it's like Xenotech, man. It's
I
super
do-
good hero for him.
I mean,
If anything, it'd be Kestrel, I think.
Kestrel's banned, so no.
She is banned. That's an excellent point.
that's a very good
I
point.
would have said Kestrel if she was open.
They're
Okay, Blackfeather was the pick, and they did pick it in time. That's what I'm hearing.
It just didn't show properly.
Yeah. Blackfeather probably makes just as much, if not more sense.
interesting. But most likely we see the Adagio in the lane,
I would assume so.
which a lot of other teams would flip that around.
Blackfeather with Finn in the jungle does seem dangerous.
I mean, you got that lore matchup. You get a little bit of bonus because they work together in the lore.
So on Team Sella mid side, what are we going to round out with?
A fortress.
Just classic.
Thank you, Flash, for answering my question.
Okay. All right, so Von C Fortress?
Yeah, or
I would prefer to see Weapon Jewel in, even though it's in the jungle. Weapon Jewel on Von C, Lyra on the on Best Chuck in the lane, and then Flash X on the Fortress. But I don't think that's what they're gonna do. I think they're gonna stick to the meta.
Cool.
or Captain Fortress.
Why not just
With-
Captain Jewel?
Exactly.
I mean, why
You
not?
get enough cooldown reduction, that stun is dirty.
Don't do it, team.
And they laugh at Weapon Power Arden and then come up with ideas like this.
What can I say?
Unbelievable.
Show me I'm wrong. Show me the game where he's picked in competitive, like Weapon Lyra was like 4 times last season. All right. In all seriousness, though, let's look at this game and say what's going to happen here. Like, who's going to win based on their draft, and how are they going to execute that?
I think we're going to see Best Chuck on the Jewel just looking to farm up, get his standard 3 items or so. He'll probably come online with 2 just because of the comp that's around him. Getting buffed up. I mean, he's going to have the move speed coming out of the Sigil, the move speed coming out of the A on Fortress. That is a lot of stick to you. It's going to be really hard to deal with. And the Bright Bulwark to control, like, once they're on target.
I worry for Blackfeather, actually. I feel like
Yeah.
if he can't get onto them before Bright Bulwark goes down, he's stuck and he's in Thunderstrike range.
Like, if Bright Bulwark's down, Blackfeather might as well just be a minion. It's pretty useless.
All right, we're ready for game number 2, guys. We're on the Halcyon Fold. Let's find out if Team Solo Mid can take 2 weeks in a row with Jaws and Forecourt Jester.
Thank you very much, guys. And that will be a very interesting draft. We were just sitting there kind of like, wait, what's happening right now? So, yeah, I mean, interesting drafts coming out from both sides, I think.
I was really hoping to see Xenotech on another alpha, get that Crystal alpha in, but with the Adagio and the Finn right there, yeah, I can't believe I'm about to say this, but Bacon has something with that weapon Arden. I've played it with him with this comp. It's like a little bit more of a god comp. Of course, we're not Vainglorious, but I think it could have actually fit in.
Well, Maybe that's the reason why you're not Vainglorious. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Listening to
Questions for the ages for you and Bacon, I guess. But that will be a duel. And you mentioned, obviously, last game that duel, you wouldn't minded of seeing it. And we're actually going to grab it here as well. So that's going to be really nice for us to actually witness, I see. And it's finally, by the way, not the Yeti skin. So,
But to put a
thank
caveat
goodness.
on that, I wanted to see Von C on Jewel. Like, Von C is
Okay.
is a #1 jungler kind of in my eyes. I really wanted to see a weapon Jewel in the jungle, Lyra with best Chuck, but with it flipped around, I still think TSM have the better draft. There's a lot of sentiment about, you know, Blackfeather becoming somewhat more useless as time goes on, especially up against Flash, but I really just want to see her in the jungle.
Well, Flash is going to be here with Von C. Going to jump straight onto Xenotech. Xenotech's going to have to back off here. And yeah, like you mentioned, obviously Flash with the Lyra. And it's that bright ball work is going to do a lot of work towards the late hand stage of the game. And Xenotech, obviously, that's going to hinder him quite a lot. And I think most of these fights and most of these games with a Lyra in, they just seem to, okay, so is bright ball work up? Yes or no? If it's no, we engage. If it's up, then we disengage. Like, that's what it seems to be every time we see a Lyra.
The Lyra's been a very commanding pick today. Like, almost every game we see a Lyra, she comes out huge. Rekt was definitely doing work on her earlier on. Now Flash X is going to have his shot at just kind of the controlling playstyle of all this. And Von C, I'm just taking a quick look at some of these items out there. Everything so far pretty much expected, but Von C starts off with a banner. His clear time is so much faster right now than Xenotech.
Definitely going to help him out for sure. Definitely be a bit more presence in the lane as well, obviously. Von C has just been such a driving force on the Koshka that, you know, I'm surprised to see him not on like a really high damaging early game jungler at the moment. Like, you could obviously see attacker or something along those lines, and actually just sticking to this fortress, which will be a bit of a slow ramp up.
The Rona would have been really right up Von C there as well, but you know, these guys are the top of the top. They're the creme de la creme. Hopefully, we'll see a little bit more towards the transition. Like, once we get this jungle intensified, Von C is going to spend out a little bit more of his cash. He's going to be looking for that aftershock. All of TSM coming down for the extra cash.
They are indeed, and that will be taken, and it goes straight up to Xenotech. In fact, they're just going to engage on this one. Flash X does not have the bright ball arc available, so as go time for GankStars, but TSM are going to be able to handily engage. That Root almost coming out and locking up Xenotech there. Best check and Ace in a little bit of trouble. Same with Von C. A lot of damage going forwards. But that's going to be it. However, they're re-engaged from TSM and then them backing straight off as Von C almost goes down. TSM can work around the bright bulwark, which is just to come off cooldown as well. Best check and A is going to back off here as GankStars, they're just poking at each other. I don't know why I'm getting like half excited, but GankStars are just going to steal a little bit away of TSM jungle, and I think that's going to be it.
Well, if you're this deep in, you might as well go for those last hits for sure. TSM only have the 2 on the front. They don't keep that Treant right there either. Best Chuck, I mean, he might be going into some of that weapon, but the mobility factor is way higher for TSM right now.
Yeah, they really are. Bright bulwark available. Xenotech is on best Chuck and A. They're trading up a lot of damage here. The sustain coming out from GankStars, though, is all too apparent. Same with TSM, in fact, obviously, with that Lyra pick, but that is going to be the end of that. No real advantages taken. I mean, really, GankStars stole away a couple of camps at max, but that was about it.
It's almost like we were watching a very slow speed car chase. Rekt just is not known on a hero as Finn for kind of being that guy to get in and out, look for those invades. He's very slow, calm, calculated, lumbering kind of beast. But just going all the way through, yeah, picking up the jungle, it's going to be just trying to put Von C behind the 8 ball a little bit. And so far, I mean, I'd say it's working. He's at 21 of the last hit. Xenotech sitting at 31. He hasn't come to lane at all. So that's pure jungle.
Doing really well for himself, for sure. Xenotech, yeah, like you said, taking out 31. Pretty nice.
Nearly got
we'll
the last hit on that one.
Yeah, I was
a bit
about to
short.
say, he almost found it, but it's all good. Got there. Xenotech just trading up a little bit of that gold, though. Goes for the Storm Crown, obviously, like we imagined it would be. His clear time is going to be pretty spectacular at this point in the game, and Fountains, obviously, coming out across the board.
Yeah, the big thing as well is the cooldown reduction that it affords. I mean, Von C is going to be very mobile. He's going to get some pretty significant clear again and again and again. And he has to make up because, again, Xeno with the steals has actually worked out pretty well for him. Now, Arakizar on this Adagio, he's not going to be scaling up the healing part of his kit nearly as quickly since he is going into Crystal, less health based like you would see on a Captain, but his damage output can be pretty significant here in this matchup. Xenotech, after he picks up this Serpent's Mask, which he has now, I'm curious if we're going to see a Poison Shift.
I mean, would definitely make sense coming up against the Lyra. We've seen it a few times before coming up against Adagios, but Lyra obviously up there in terms of healing. With that, obviously, that will reduce a lot of that. And I can imagine it's something they're going to think about at least, but I'm not entirely sure how early on would you expect to kind of see that. I just don't know.
Well, after the Serpent's Mask, he's already started into the Tier 1 armor. Xenotech is probably going to be going into an Atlas next. I would expect to see it after that. Like, maybe a breaking point if he really wants to get more offensive, but I think an Atlas Pauldron would just pay out way better up against Chuck, because Xenotech's only job here is really just to, stay on top of Chuck.
Yeah, you aren't wrong. And with Chuck obviously going down at the weapon power build as well, he's also going to hit like a truck. Has obviously got that Sorrow Blade available to him. It's a lot of damage, however. Now going to just aggress on TSM now. TSM using that Bright Bulwark, but there's just so much damage coming out from Xenotech now. And Araki Zoro is going to be able to pick up that kill onto Flash X. Forster Core drags the Sentry towards them. Rek taking a lot of work there, a lot of damage. Verse is going to be used, however, not really going off on any members of TSM, more of a zoning one. And that will be it. First kill and first blood actually going over to Araki Zoro.
And that was just a pretty nice catch. Like, they didn't know that anybody was out there in the item shop. Both sides pretty oblivious to it until they stepped out of the shadows. Oh, what a steal attempt,
big red
but
button.
Doesn't quite work. And Flash wasn't level 6. That was a big thing for him. He only has kind of, without that Arcane Passage and him being sort of like on the back line of the retreat, it was a pretty easy pickup between Xeno and Araki.
It was indeed, and yep, Xeno is doing an absolute ton of damage right now. Obviously, with that Serpent's Mask, doing a fair bit in the front line. And realistically, Flash X didn't stand a chance, like you said, without the passage, but Bright Bulwark was on cooldown as well, and they made the fight work, and they timed it perfectly around that cooldown as well. Something very, very important to keep in mind. TSM just ever so slightly on the back foot now. He's trading that kill, obviously, but no turrets going down just yet, and I'm curious to see Araki Zoro obviously scale up towards the later stages of the game, because those verses are going to hurt, and coming into a Forster Core as well, that is definitely not somewhere you want to be.
Now, Flash is into the 2-item support now. Rek, not quite there. He has been spending actually a good amount of time up in lane, just freezing it out. Araki Zoro is getting a pretty big boost to his last hits. He will start overtaking Best Chuck, if only temporarily, but TSM, they're showing strength up here in lane.
Yeah, they really are. Just putting a lot of pressure on GankStars right now. Just trying to force Araki Zoro back a little bit. But he's got the healing, obviously, on his side, so it's not going to be too much of an issue for him, taking a little bit of poke damage. TSM, obviously, being up a game as well. It's all on the cards here for GankStars. They need to be able to pull out this win in order to push it to that best of 3, that full 3 games. Otherwise, TSM are just going to take home another finals, and they are looking so strong right now. And I will echo what you said earlier, one of the best teams right now, if not the best in North America, just going on standings.
Well, they've definitely been a little bit more of the shining hope.
Oh, they have indeed, and Best Chuck is going to jump straight on Araki Zoro. Versus Judgment is going to get channeled, however, just gets blocked momentarily there, and Vonsi is going to be able to trade out that kill. However, Xenotech doing so much work, actually gets dragged over the wall. Vonsi is on top of Rex now, just separating the team, and Xenotech just comes up massive there alongside Rek, and he's going to be able to finish up Vonsi. That Forster Cord was perfectly timed from Rex, separating them, so Xenotech could cut them down one by one.
Yeah, absolutely. That was the big gem of that fight right there. That just splitting them up, allowing Xenotech basically this quality time with Flash X at that point. That was the decider. Couldn't get the heals on top of Vonsi. Vonsi trying to jump just back across the wall, just to keep that carry, to keep that Lyra, the Lyra alive. It just didn't happen, man.
Well, ouch, is all I can say.
That's why you don't get close to Araki. Araki has that crystal, that path. It's basically like the offensive part of it is done. 10 minutes in, he can actually tank up from here, go into a 3rd item after that. At least that's how I would expect it to go. And a decent gold payout to add on top of that here as well. Best Chuck just wasn't prepared.
No, not at all. And with that unpreparedness, he does end up going down as well, trading over the 5th kill. I was going to say 2nd, but it's 5th. 5th now. I'm even keeping track of these. They're coming out so thick and fast. Sentry is going to get defeated as well. Goes down. That will be another mark in GankStars' books. They are very much firmly in the lead now. 4K advantage. 5-1 on the scoreboard as well in terms of kills. My goodness, they are definitely stepping up to the plate. As TSM, they're kind of backing off a little by the wayside here, and it does look like they're getting in a little bit of a scuffle again. Beshchakane is going to get out of there, but big force to call comes through from Rex, wrecking the entire opposition of TSM. The passage is going to get followed through. FlashX is on the run. Araki's chasing him, but Xenotech is going to be able to take out Beshchakane, and now TSM are on the run. As they do manage to get out alive, but Beshchakane is going to be the sacrificial lamb. Those turrets are going to be long left for the world as, wow, GankStars really, really pushing TSM to the limit now.
A lot of people saying, the Black Feather into the Lyra, just not going to be so good. But so far, it doesn't seem to be too much of a problem here for Xeno. He has really been on top of Beshchuk. 0-3 right now for the laner of TSM, but Xeno's 4-0. He is absolutely on fire. Now, he could still get shut down. We don't have an Atlas on the side here of TSM. That was one of the big things that we saw previously. If you don't get an Atlas on top of some of these weapon carries, well, you're going to have a bad time. FlashX is in the midst of kind of figuring that part out. So 5,000 gold between them. FlashX, you got the cash? I think he's got the cash. I think this is going to be an Atlas right here.
He's staying in base, so I guess he will be. Yeah, Atlas, yeah, comes out. So yeah, it's definitely going to be needed, and definitely is going to help the lineup of TSM, because they're in dire straits right now. That's going to be one turret even, obviously, over 2 GankStars. With that, they are really playing on the back foot, and I want to see GankStars can push them all the way here, because TSM, they are a formidable foe in these best of 3 series. They really just can pull out their all, and we saw almost what could happen in the last couple of games with TSM. They really can just sometimes just pull it back out of nowhere and pull out with the W, but if that's the case in this game. GankStars, they're looking pretty good right now, and my all bet is on Rector. This guy has just been absolutely amazing with the forced chords.
Yeah, one of the top captains we have on this side of the road, absolutely.
Well, another engage is going to come through. Passage actually just sends him straight all into the verse. Doesn't actually get blocked, so that's a lot of damage. And there we go. Iraqi Zoro just pumping out this damage. Picks up a double kill. And now FlashX is going to have to run away here as the Intic is going to chase him up. FlashX is going to go down probably and potentially underneath his tower. Doesn't really use the healing all too effectively. Forced to call, brings him further towards Wrecked. He ends up picking up the kill for himself, and that's going to be an ace. GankStars picking up this game, and TSM just falling by the wayside.
So I'm just going to take a moment and say that I really wanted to see Vonsi on the Jewel. I have nothing against Beshchuk, but I think it's just a better tool for Vonsi. He's been a no factor so far on this fortress.
He really hasn't, and like I mentioned before, he's just been such a carry on the Koshka, but here he goes down yet again, and this is just looking disaster for TSM. They're looking for these engages, but just falling every single time. FlashX wasn't even in that fight at that current point.
No,
that's why I was a bit hesitant to kind of start that fight off, but there we go. GankStars just picking up those 2 kills and walking away with it. And they got 2 turrets. TSM just looking in shambles at the moment.
Yeah, TSM really just kind of putting a lot of eggs in that basket. Said, oh, Xeno's still here. They have a lot of cooldowns down. Let's just go blow them up. Didn't work. Not at all. We actually have that tier 2 shield here for Xeno, as we are going to pick up the last gold miner of the match. The Kraken coming up online. That's the breaking point coming through. Did actually tank up into the Atlas before the breaking, but if you thought that it was hard to take down Xeno before, well, it just got lots harder now.
Yeah, definitely, and FlashX is going to get jumped on by the whole of GankStars. They're going to gank him, they're going to get the kill. Vonsi is in the midst of it all as well. Xenotech's doing so much damage. That breaking point buy for him really working out. The Beshchakane is almost going to take out Araki. He actually ends up taking him out eventually, but Xenotech, obviously, look at his HP bar. He's full of it, and Rex will be the next guy to survive that fight. And that's going to be it. Ace comes through. I just can't believe what's happening right now. I'm going to be honest with you. GankStars really coming up to this fight and just taking it home.
Well, infusions also play a little bit more of a role in these fights. You can see him taking away here. You know, Iraqi and Zeno still going strong with theirs. Now, either Best Chuck and Vonsi had him and they kind of timed out during the fight, or they timed out since they died, or they just simply didn't have him. But let's just go with the fact that if they don't have those this stage in the game and Xenotech starting to run away with you, you know he's going to be infused up. You have to spend the gold to match it. And unfortunately, again, like Vonsi 1 and 4. What happened to the all-star jungler? What happened to all that pressure? Koshka's getting taken away from him, and all of a sudden he just goes 1-4.
Yeah, it does seem completely the opposite of what he's shown us in the last few games. Vonsi really not just pulling his weight here, and unfortunately 1-4, but Best Check and Ace 1-6 as well. 14 and 2 is on the scoreboard, and I think TSM maybe, you know, looking to this next game now because there's only 2 turrets in between GankStars and actually just pulling out the victory here, and it will tie the series up 1-1 as well, and that's going to be a big win for them because with that they could actually just take TSM out of this and they could win the finals where they did fall short last week.
And this will actually be the second loss recorded, this split for TSM. They've only lost out 1 other matchup to date.
Well, this might just be the design invite. Vonsi's in the back line there. They're both on Iraqi's Aura, but he's staying alive somehow, and they've just completely diverted their attention because Best Chuck is just going to go down. Xenotech just completely soloing this guy out. Flash X and Vonsi under the turrets, and they will fall as well eventually. My goodness, GankStars, they're coming back. They're coming back with a vengeance. That Kraken survives the entire fight as well. Bane Crystal falls. GankStars taking this to a game 3.
All right. Game 3 is going to be up on the menu. My secret hopes have been realized. The drafts are going to be, again, very, very important. I feel like we fell a little bit short here. TSM had all the time in the world to figure out what their last pick was, and a Fortress came through. And again, I just don't really feel like that they put them on the optimal heroes. Nothing against the players themselves. I just don't think that the comp in their positions that they're at kind of delivered. I just really don't think they delivered what they needed to. So back to the drawing board, game 3 to come through, and we'll have to see who gets the Lyra this round.
Yeah, for sure. The Lyra's just been a staple pick, and I want to see Vonsi on something a little bit more aggressive because that Fortress pick just did not work out for him in the slightest. Put him on that Koshka if it's not banned, or, you know, just put him on attacker or something, because he needs to be able to pop off in the early game to, you know, it make sure the rest of his team can just follow up in the later stages. But with that, 1-1 on the scoreboard right now. We're going to chuck it over to AJ and the boys because they need to break this down even further because that game did not go in TSM's favor. Take it away.
It definitely didn't go in their favor. I mean, at what point do we have to sit up and say, like, Xenotech, are you the new best player? Because seriously, even in the games that he's losing, he's performing crazy good. And he just